Otogi is on the original Xbox. If you haven't played Otogi before, it's a third-person action adventure game where you essentially fly around as this dude named Raiko who can just knock people through anything. The whole world is destructive. In fact, in order to 100% any level, you need to destroy everything and find these spirits that are sometimes trapped in simple, objects around the map. Not simple objects, but they'll be like in a pillar or a wall or whatever. You can just destroy it, and then once you destroy said thing, then boom, you're progressing forward. And he just tears things up. Raiko is an absolute badass, baby. I love this game. This game is absolutely amazing, and it's got so much variety. You use tons of weapons and magic and just a lot of free flow ability. It's very floaty, but it's supposed to be that way. It's supposed to feel very floaty. Raiko almost glides and majestically leaps through the air like some sort of magical gazelle. It's incredible, man. I absolutely love Otogi. Its shortcomings would be, I don't know, it's kind of hard. Final boss is kind of hard. That's not really a shortcoming, you know what I mean? Like, it's still it's a really good game. FPS drops because it's just so much going on at certain points. There are some chaotic moments in that game. So I'm gonna give it a B. Spider-Man Miles Morales. So I never finished Miles Morales, so I decided to start it over just because it's a short game anyway. It was like, let's just start it over. Miles Morales is really damn good. I love this game all around. I don't really want to dwell on it too much because we already got a lot of Spider-Man games to talk about, and there's not really much too different between, Spider-Man 2 and Miles Morales in the sense of like what's being accomplished in the game. Story-wise, I thought it was okay. My Miles Morales was glitchy as hell. I had some crazy moments in this game. I don't know why. Just was that way. But on the PS5, mind you, I was playing on the PS5, and it was still, sometimes I had some bugs, bro. I mean, it was crazy, but still a great game. Overall, enjoyed it. I think it's a very, very fun game. A little short, a little on the short end. So I'm gonna give it a B. Power Rangers. I beat random games sometimes on stream because we do bad games nights. And I've beaten this game before, but we never beat it on hard. So I beat it on hard this time, which allowed us to see every single episode that's in the damn stupid Sega CD. It's just Power Rangers compressed with buttons over it. I'm sure you've seen it on AVGN. Game's nothing special to talk about. It's absolute trash. It gets an F. Okay, Murakumo is not good. This is another From Software game, and it's a high-speed pursuit mech game. It's a high-speed pursuit mech game. That's the best way I can call it. I mean, it looks really cool. I'm sure what you're seeing right there looks really cool. But let me tell you something. It plays terrible. You essentially have to catch whatever you're chasing, and you're both flying through the city really, really fast. That's pretty much the whole game. That's it in a nutshell. It's just constantly forward chasing stuff. It's the worst From Software game I've ever played outside of Frame Grind. I mean, this is just stinky. So I'm gonna give it an F. Spider-Man 2. So my son got to play Spider-Man 2 on the PS5 first before I did because it's his PS5. We got two PS5s, but he's the biggest Spider-Man fan. So, obviously I'm going to let my son play it and have his thing before I get on it, And, in 3 days he said he was done. He's like, there's nothing else for me to do in that game. I'm never touching it again. So, whatever. I got to play it in 3 days. But in those 3 days, I got to play Spider-Man 2 over again because we got that Xbox, baby. So I decided to let's go see what Spider-Man 2 is all about. Oh, it was like falling back in love, baby. Everything that you can think of that's in Spider-Man 2 2023 is almost the same shit that's in Spider-Man 2 2004, but they have more. That's what's crazy. It's like when you're doing Spider-Man 2 2023, it's like, how many different enemies do you have? How much variety do you have? There's so much variety in Spider-Man 2 just for like random crime missions. You can have the hijackings with the car. You can have, you know, the muggings of a place being robbed or whatever, right? But then you can also have, you go up to a civilian and they're actually like in on the gang, or they're like a gang member themselves and setting you up. Or you can have a little girl who's lost her balloon. And I know people don't like the balloon mission, but think about what the balloon mission's for. The balloon mission is for you to interact with the city. So if somebody drops their balloon and it's caught and it's about to go, let's say, you know, on this one short building that you can't necessarily jump to from a certain, you have to navigate the rooftops in certain ways to grab that balloon that allows you to not pop it, which is actually genius. You can slide on the wall as this Spider-Man. There's so much more you can do with webbing. He can web up multiple people and swing them around. You can hang them on light poles. You can swing on light poles. You can take a man to the top of the Empire State Building and just let him think about life for a minute and just sit there with him and just hold him. Let him think about it for a little bit of life. You know what I'm saying? I love this game, and I love the amount of variety. And what's even greater is when you beat this game, you can't just put it down. Do you know why? No, not because you got to collect the little tokens. No. You can do that if you like. That's just fun stuff to just have in your game, being able to go in buildings. But what you can really do is you can go to this hideout over there by where I think Kingpin is or some shit, over by some bay, right? You go to the bay and you go inside this hideout and you fight these rounds of enemies. And then at the end of it all, at the last round, you get to fight the Sinister Six version of this one on Spider-Man 2. So you're fighting Doc Ock, you're fighting Electro, you're fighting the new character that's just for this game, just for this hideout. I mean, the amount of variety that you're doing in this game and the amount of things that you can do in this game are amazing. Think about the races in Spider-Man 2 2023. What are they? You guessed it, it's Superman 64, isn't it? It's just swinging, not even swinging, it's flying through rings. That is the races in those games. Then you go look at a race on Spider-Man 2 2004, and then you have to like swing around a certain pole to actually get the count of the loop, or slide down this part of the wall, or do this trick through this loop. Like, it makes you become more and more efficient with Spider-Man, and I just think that this Spider-Man handles so damn well. I absolutely love it. The graphics in this game are terrible, you know. The story in this game is terrible. The voiceover in this game is terrible. Tobey Maguire sounds like he's never done any voice acting ever in the history of man. It's awful, but I love it. I love it all, bro, and I can't deny it. It's not an S tier though, but it is an A.
Time to put a stop to this joyride. He's wrecking the car.
Otogi 2 is literally the direct sequel to Otogi. Exactly what it is, a direct sequel to Otogi. But you get to play as like 5 or 6 different characters, and I ended up playing with this dude. Oh man, I forget his name, dude. What was it? I think it was Setsuna, I want to say his name was. But he looks like Zenyatta kind of. He just floats around. He has no arms though, and a bunch of like blades around him. That was my dude, bro. That game's great. It's literally Otogi, but better. You know, more enemies, more variety, more weapons, more magic, more characters to play as. Exact same mechanic, exact same scheme, but done better. So I know this one sounds crazy, but I am gonna give this one our first S tier. This game, for its time, is an amazing game with tons of depth and tons of layers and tons of replayability. And yes, if you're wondering, the Moonlight Sword is in both of those games, which was originally created in Kingsfield, but we ain't about to get into that. Street Fighter. Now listen, I know technically you can't complete this one, right? Or I mean, I guess you can if you do the story mode or whatever, but I got to master rank in that game, you know, and I've stayed around like the 1600 MR, so I feel like I'm qualified enough to say that I've completed that game. I'm putting over 200 hours into it. I absolutely love Street Fighter 6. Everything about that game I love, except for the microtransactions. What are y'all doing over there? Wake up. That I don't like. I can't get jiggy with that. But the actual gameplay, man. Oh my goodness, I ain't never like a Street Fighter like I like this game. I love this game. This game is incredible. It speaks to me in volumes. I am a Blanca main, which is crazy because I've never played Blanca a day in my life on Street Fighter. Never have I ever even thought of playing Blanca, but they didn't have no good characters, so I had to choose somebody, and I ain't choosing nobody with a Hadouken, and I sure ain't picking Ken, because that's what a lot of, never mind, I ain't gonna get into it. But I love this game, man. And then when you ain't got nothing to do and you're bored, right? You're like, oh man, my hands are tired. You can get off of the game in game and then go to the arcade and then play arcade games. You can play Mega Man Power Battles. You can play Magic Sword. You can play Final Fight. You can play other Street Fighter games, bro. What? And then when you're done with that, you can then go to like the world tour and then go around and smack people up. I'm not one of the biggest Street Fighter fans ever, but I absolutely adore this game, and I think it's done really, really well. I'm going to give this game an S tier. I love that move. Because just you can stop it with a punch. And most people can't. Blanca is disgusting! Blanca's disgusting! Armored Core 3. Armored Core 3 is tough, man. Like, it's tough because I'm having to reflect after I've already beaten Armored Core 3: The Silent Line, which we'll talk about in a bit. But Armored Core 3 is essentially kind of a newer rendition of simplifying what already was in the original Armored Core games. In Armored Core 2, they got a little long in the tooth with levels and stuff. Armored Core 2: Another Age is one of the longest games I've ever played, bro. It's so long, and the mission structure is very confusing with how it's done. With Armored Core 3, they kind of simplified it and brought it back to the factions, where your mission structure that you choose in this game is a faction thing. Armored Core is your traditional Armored Core game, but this is an older Armored Core game. That's it. I didn't really like this one though. There weren't really too many fun missions. There's like 3 or 4 cool ones. The arena has some cool enemies once you get far enough in them, and I think you can do a 2v2 in this game too, which is really, really fun. I don't know. To me, it didn't really ring my bell though. So I'm gonna give this one a C. Next up is The Quarry. So I hadn't played this game, or I heard about this game because I liked what was that other game, Until Dawn. I thought that game was pretty unique, but this game is somewhat similar, a little bit of a nice long movie with a bunch of choices. I got one person killed at the end of the game. You can basically kill everyone or kill no one. It's kind of one of those games. It's pretty cool, man. I enjoyed it, but it's pretty basic. Not really much for me to talk about in it. I did love how it looked, though. I thought it looked really good on my PC because I put on like that VHS tint. Oh man, that was the best part. That's why I kept playing, honestly, because it just looked so good when that old lady was like looking you in the face, like, "What are you doing?" Like, oh man, I wanted to look at her right back and be like, "What are you doing tonight, girl?" Anyways, so because of that, like, I really think that was what kind of brought it up from it being like completely trash. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna give it a C. Parappa. So I've beaten the first Parappa the Rapper a couple times on stream, but I never got to play the second one. So my son had bought it. He's been getting into retros a little bit more because I've been kind of pushing them to play outside their boundary of like games that they're exploring, just so they can just have a better palette and be able to absorb things a little bit smarter. So I decided to try it out. Man, this game is really well done. I actually enjoy Parappa the Rapper 2 way more than 1. 1 has a couple more iconic moments and songs, I'd say. Obviously, the Mr. Onion comes to mind with, the kick on just all in the mind. If you want to diss me, I'm sure you're fine with the thing to eat. So, nevertheless, you get a lesson, but teacher not geek. You know what I mean? But he's got a dope song in this game about love. It's actually amazing. I personally think that this game's actually really, really strong. But it's Parappa the Rapper. It's very simple. It's not like they're redefining the wheel or doing anything super genius with the mechanics or anything else. It's just more Parappa the Rapper, so I'm gonna have to give it a C.
Because I'm smooth with a groove so new. I wish everybody had the same point of view. Meet me at the corner, pick you up a 7. Wear your best dress and I'll take you to heaven.
The Godfather, Don's Edition. Oh, let me tell you about this game, The Godfather, Don's Edition. So when I was a wee lad, I used to have The Godfather on the PS2 and used to play it so religiously that I could drive from one side of New York to the other side of New York without getting touched. That's how good I was at that game. I'm not that good anymore. But what I am is able to tell you about this PS3 version. The PS3 version essentially is a remastered version of Godfather that came out on the PS2. They added over like an extra 20 levels or missions, if you will. They redid characters' faces. They redid the 6-axis so you can actually use it to rough people up. I love this game. It is highly recommended by me. I recommend you play it. There's just so much to this game. It's, if you want me to put it down in a nutshell, it's like GTA with a little bit more of the simulation side of how you extort businesses and stuff. You can walk into a butcher shop and tell this dude he's got to pay you by Thursday. He said he don't want to pay. You could take a bat out and just start smashing his stuff up, or better yet, smash him up so you can save the money that you got to spend later on expenses. I love this game, bro. It is so good and well done. There's gang wars that you can have if you go into somebody's territory too much and you're doing all this stuff, and they'll bomb all of your properties, so your properties will be on fire, so you won't make money for weeks if you make mistakes and get killed in this game. And then with the 6-axis controller and stuff, they made it so fun. You can like push people into walls, or you can like turn them, and it just feels so cool to just do it like with the 6-axis controller. Oh man, this game is amazing. I love this game from start to finish. It is literally one of my favorite movie license games of all time. It really is, especially the PS3 version. The PS2 version was probably an A, but this bad boy right here, I'm definitely putting that S. Oh, you're lucky I don't like this song. My grandmama always told me, never dance with a girl you don't know to this song. Look at you dancing. You didn't listen. The Thing. I didn't even know this game existed until about 2 years ago or so, and I was playing it on the PS2. The Thing is a third-person action adventure game, if you will. But what's unique about it is it's actually supposedly, quote unquote, the sequel to The Thing. It's what they wanted after The Thing to happen. A lot of awesome elements of fear where your teammates can be so afraid that they'll turn on you, or sometimes they'll just turn into monsters out of nowhere. So everything that you do, you usually want to stick next to your buddies, because if you leave them or tell them to stay away or not move forward, they won't. They'll stay there. But then that could mean that the thing might get them and then turn them into a monster, and then you don't know. So then there's even blood tests you can take in the game. The game is actually pretty well thought out in that regard. But it's hard as hell. I died so much in this game. I mean, I was just left and right dead. Dead from fire, dead from explosion, dead from monsters, dead from bosses, dead from you. This game was so hard, bro, but it's got a pretty badass ending. The ending is pretty damn badass, let me tell you. And what's crazy about it is, I'm just gonna have to show you.
Excellent timing there, pilot. Early retirement from Gen Inc.
No, not exactly. On my way back from an extended Arctic vacation.
Uh-huh. So what's your name, smartass?
McCready. R.J. McCready. U.S. Outpost North 31.
What? So, all in all, even though the game is, really good in those moments, it is a lot of jank, it's tab targeting kind of lock-ons. It's not necessarily the best game ever, but I thought it was still cool, man. I still had a great time with it. So I'm going to give it a C. Where you going? Damn! What the fuck? Lies of P. Woo! This game to me is amazing. I love this game. I beat this game pretty easy, honestly. I see a lot of people struggle with this game. I didn't have that kind of issue, but I think that's because I never played. See, while I've played the From Software early games, I haven't played the later games in any depth. So I've never played Sekiro, any Dark Souls, or any of those games. I've only dabbled in the Souls games for a little bit, but not much. So, you know, I think that helped me in a major way playing this game, that I don't have any like Souls-like experience, really, if you will, other than early Souls-likes that were before Souls. So, you know, I think that helped me a lot in this game, to where I didn't have like a set lock on of how to handle anything. I just kind of just did whatever it took, you know. And I absolutely love this game. This game is amazing. If you have not played Lies of P, it is one of my top recommendations for last year. Absolutely incredible from start to finish. Playing as Pinocchio, the twists, the turns, oh man, the combat, the sound, the design of the areas, everything. The only thing that felt kind of lackluster was some of the areas felt pretty linear and easy to explore. Aside from that, everything else felt so amazing in this game. The music just came out of left field too. Like I remember it being announced, right? And then after it was announced, I wasn't expecting, you know, this game to be this incredible. I didn't know the studio, so I'm like, chances are it'll be whatever. And it's just like, to me, it's the first like game that I've seen outside of From Software Souls likes that's actually really, really like well respected in the community of like other From Software like fans. So like I'm in like a From Software Reddit or whatever, just to hear about like news about Kingsfield and stuff like that. And they talk about Lies of P all the time in the Reddit. You know what I mean? So that's a good sign, because they don't do it for Lords of the Fallen. They don't do it for The Surge or any of these other games that have ever been like that. So that does speak volumes to that game, in my opinion. Lies of P is absolutely amazing. I loved it from start to finish. I give this game a straight S tier.
I'm stiff. But I have a gift. I'm stiff.
The Legend of Zelda. So Legend of Zelda Age of Calamity is essentially Dynasty Warriors, but Legend of Zelda. It's the sequel to the first Legend of Zelda game that was like that. I think it was called Hyrule Warriors, right? So this is Legend of Zelda Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. Damn, that's a mouthful. Legend of Zelda Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. Whew. So this game was cool, man. Like I don't know, it was just something I played on the side. Not really like great, very grindy. Tons of missions though. I mean, it just never ended with missions. This game was really, really long. Very, very long. Some cool epic moments though, using the Guardian Beast, which is very unique. I did enjoy that kind of aspect to it. That stuff was really, really fun. Some of the characters are really fun to play as, like Impa. Like, oh my goodness, you playing as Impa, she just be, ooh, she be daring, ooh, just that ninja moves, bro. Beautiful. So, you know, all in all though, it's still a pretty basic game. If I had to go rate it, you know what I'm gonna do? C. Armored Core 3 Silent Line. So Armored Core 3 Silent Line was actually pretty damn good. It was better than Armored Core 3 in almost every single way. It had very interesting missions. You could import your data from Armored Core 3 into Armored Core Silent Line, and it was your direct data. So all the money I had, all the things that I purchased every weapon in the game, because when you win Arena, you become rich. So I purchased every weapon in the game. All of my weapons I purchased, all of my armor cores that I had created, you can create multiple, all transferred over. Everything went over, you know, and I thought that was incredible. So it allowed you to have this sort of starting base that was just stronger than what you were used to, and I thought that was actually incredible. It's also got a very fun arena. Everything about that game is just better than Armored Core 3. It was just much more interesting, much more fun. It had a lot of really cool missions, lots of fun things to do in it, and you already had that starting base, so it just propelled you forward. I'm gonna give this bad boy a B. Echo the Yeah, I know. What am I doing playing Echo the Dolphin? Hear me out. So if you play Echo the Dolphin on the Sega Genesis, you're a madman. And if you've beaten it on Sega Genesis, you're insane. I played it on the Sega CD though. And let me tell you, the Sega CD is the way to play Echo the Dolphin. If you've ever wanted to play that game from start to finish but never could, you should definitely play it on the Sega CD. I'll tell you why. One, it has checkpoints, and the checkpoints are very fair. Two, the music is infinitely better. Completely redone soundtrack that you're not expecting. Three, enemies and things don't disappear as easily as they do on the Sega version. Remember that part where you got to push that shell and it's got to knock down the other shells and all that? And then when you go and you see it, you're like, where'd the shell go that you need to push because you need to go you got to go all the way back up? Well, it doesn't do that in this game. Things only reset unless it's intentional, like if they want it to reset, but everything else will stay. So it's actually really, really fair. The game is actually insane. I'm gonna tell you a little quick story. So when I was young, you know, back in the day before the internet was like rampant, right? My buddy came and told me that one day at lunch that he had beat Echo the Dolphin, you know, and now he was a crazy gamer like me, man, and we used to just knock games out. I used to go over to his house and be on his Sega channel when I lost my Sega channel. Like, he had Sega channel way longer than I had Sega channel. So when I'd go over his house and play Sega channel, if you don't know, Sega channel was sort of like Netflix but for Sega games, and they would bring out games early and all that stuff. Anyways, and so one day he came to school, he's like, yo, James, I beat Echo the Dolphin. I was like, what? You beat Echo the Dolphin? What happens, bro? Like, tell me, you know, because as a kid, I couldn't get past like the 5th or 6th level where you're underwater and you have like a little bit of air, the caverns or whatever it was. It was like 5 or 6 levels in. I couldn't get that far. And he's like, well, you get this. He goes, you go and meet this whale. And I was like, I remember the whale, right? You do that pretty early. And he's like, you meet this killer whale. The killer whale then tells you to go to like the Arctic. And he's like, and you go to Arctic and you get these powers where you can breathe underwater. Then you got to go to Atlantis. And like, I'm like, what the hell are you talking about, bro? He goes, you go back to it. He goes, you go to Atlantis and you go back in time. He's like, you go back in time. He was so, I remember his face. He was so serious. He was like, you go to Atlantis, you go back in time, and you meet dinosaurs. And he goes, and then you're like hopping from map to map, because that's what we used to call them, as maps. And he goes, you're hopping from map to map, and then he goes, you meet this strand. He goes, these orbs, like orbs. That's what orbs, you know. But it's like DNA strand, and it literally tells a story of how these aliens are what took the dolphins. So if you never beat Echo the Dolphin, when you jump in the beginning of the air, at the very beginning of the game, that is aliens sucking up all of the life in the ocean, or at least in that part of the ocean. I don't know if it's all the life in the ocean everywhere, but that's essentially what it is. I did not believe this man. Do you understand me? I did not believe this man. I didn't believe him. You know, I was like, dude, what are you talking about? That game is so simple. There's no way it turns into all of that. You've already seen what the game is. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just didn't believe him. So like, we would literally argue about this all the time. And it wasn't until like I was like 20 something years old and I got the Sega collection on the PS2 that I actually realized that he was telling the truth, because I used the cheats to go to the last fight and you're fighting a fucking alien. And I was like, holy shit. But this time we actually did it ourselves. I got all the way through the whole entire game, and then I got to fight the alien myself, and we beat the alien, and then we escaped with the pod. It's still a very interesting game, and I think that for the Sega Genesis, it's extremely unique, but it's hard on the Sega Genesis. But for the Sega CD, it's actually pretty damn good, man, and it holds up pretty well, and it's not hard at all. It's infinite lives, so it's not that big of a deal. It's pretty fair. Echo the Dolphin is pretty fair on Sega CD. On the Genesis, help you, but on Sega CD, it's pretty damn fair. So I'm gonna give this bad boy a B. Bet you that one shocked you. Bro, we gotta go. I'm gonna die. Let me out. Let me out. Let me out. Oh! The Punisher. Oh boy. I love this game. I've beaten this game usually like once a year. So, you know, I am a huge fan of this game, and I'll tell you why. If you play it on the PC version, there's a mod you can do called the black and white mod. I'm not gonna show too much of it because I'm not trying to have what little bit of, you know, pull I have on videos get worse. But You can actually make it to where you can see all of the dismemberments in the game fully. They have all the dismemberments there, and it's so awesome watching the Punisher do all these crazy things. You can get a nail driver and drive nails into people's heads, or get a propeller and push their whole dome into it, or a bunch of silver, or like the chrome aberration stuff that they use for the colors. You can use that and dunk somebody's face in it. Like, just crazy things. You can have somebody get eaten by snakes or burn them on fire. I mean, it's just like so many things that you can do in this game. It's just awesome. It's awesome. It's awesome. It's awesome. I love this game. I love the shooting mechanics of the game. You can shoot, you can dual wield and shoot your guns individually. So you can just be around the corner and just have your right hand out, or be around the corner, have your left hand out, change around the camera. When you aim from the back of your wrist. You don't aim from the front of your wrist like you do in most games. In most games, your thing moves like this, but this one you actually aim this part, which then moves the rest of your thing. So aiming feels very weird at first, but it feels right at the same time. Frank is just an awesome part in this. They have these interrogation moments you can do where you can like grab someone, and whatever you want to do to them, you can like face smash, you can punch them in the stomach a bunch of times, you can put a gun in their face, or you can strangle them. And when you do it, sometimes they'll break down and be like, they'll say something that'll trigger Frank's PTSD. It's awesome, bro. It's awesome. I love this game. I love it. And when they trigger the PTSD, it's usually a comic book slot. I love it, bro. I love this game. I love it with all of my heart. It's an amazing game. If you haven't played it, I highly recommend. I'm gonna give this bad boy an S tier, bro. I love this game. Love it, bro. So fun. Next up, Star Trek Borg. Star Trek Borg is essentially a game where it's a point-and-click adventure where you follow around Q, John Delancey's character Q, around a little adventure around the Borg. It's a point-and-click adventure. It came out in like 96, 97. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. It's got some awesome, funny moments, and it's somebody actually redid it in HD, so you can actually see and play the game in like high def, and like everything's all reshot, and or not reshot, but like re-uploaded to where it fits a 16:9 a little bit better. It's interesting. It's just an interesting game to revisit, but it's not a good game, you know. It's got some pretty funny moments. John Delancey getting messed up, just a bunch of hilarious moments. You get to see him as a Borg. That's cool. You know, if you're a Trekkie fan and you haven't played it, I'd say go onto the webs and find it if you can, because you can't really buy it anymore anyway. So it's definitely on abandonware. But yeah, I definitely say check it out. I give this bad boy still though a D. All right, the last one's gonna be kind of a combo, because I feel kind of the same about both of them. House of the Dead 2 and House of the Dead 3. I beat both of these on the Xbox. The House of the Dead 3 game actually comes with the House of the Dead 2 installed in it, or whatever you want to call it. I think both of these games are great. They still hold up really well. Even on the controller, using it on the Xbox still feels really good. I have a light gun, but I didn't want to hook it up because the TV and everything. I could have did that, but I didn't. Even without the light gun though, the game still handles really well. Super fun, great time, enjoyed my time with them. Not really many gripes. They're just older, you know, shoot 'em up, so you can't really like hate on them too much, and you got to give them credit because three is really clean. Like 3 holds up pretty damn well. 2, you know, still looks pretty generic in certain ways, but 3 they cleaned up in a lot of ways and make it actually really fun and hard, but still unique. But I'm gonna give both of these bad boys C's. All right, so that pretty much wraps it up. This is the list. This is the list. Wherever everything is, this is it. This is pretty much where we are. I did beat 15 other games, but I say we should save those for another day. I've already exhausted this out way longer than I thought it was going to be. This is an hour long of footage that I'm going to probably turn down to like hopefully 40 minutes or so. But either way, you know, this is the main wrap. And the other 15 games that I beat was during December, which was Castlevania month, where we beat the original 15 games of the, or not the original 15, but we beat the main games in the timeline. In order of timeline for Castlevania. So I'm not going to count those games here in this list because that's done every year, and I kind of want to make my own video of that anyway, so don't worry about those games. But these games are the main games that I beat this year. There are a ton of honorable mentions of games that I didn't get to finish yet, like Baldur's Gate 3 and Midnight Suns. And I mean, if we had a list of the games that I didn't beat, it'd be almost as long as the games that I did, you know. But you know, that's my list, man. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm trying to do a new edit thing. I know it's not gonna look the best with the green screen and stuff. Please just bear with me for a bit until I can get better lighting and everything else, and then maybe we can get it really going and have it implemented in a super fun way. I'm just trying to get better at editing and doing more fun things with the videos, just for my sanity, learn how to do things more fun. So with that being said, I appreciate you guys. If you stayed to the end of this video, let me know what your list of games were in the comments below. I don't think any of you guys are gonna stay this long, but if you do, what you need to do is let me know your list below, bro. Put your list below. I'd love to see it. I'm thinking about doing a movie recap as well for 2023. Up to you guys. If you're down for that as well, let me know. Leave a like, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace.